It looked like maybe another fourth quarter comeback was in the works, but this Drew Lock interception in the fourth quarter, backed up near his own end zone, all but secured the Falcons win. Atlanta ends up winning 34-27. Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Broncos Postgame Show. I'm Phil Milani alongside Eric Dalala. Sidney Jones will be along in just a little bit. But, Eric, another frustrating day for this Broncos offense.
Yeah, Phil, the final score, Drew Lock's final stat line, Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler's, their stat lines, they'll look better than maybe this game actually was in reality for most of Sunday afternoon. The Broncos fall 34-27. They do have a final drive with a chance to go down the field and just over 40 seconds to win the game. But like you mentioned, Phil, just too much inconsistency, too much poor play on both sides of the ball, really, in the first half to overcome that. And, maybe nothing more emblematic of that struggle than a final fourth down play where you've got an illegal formation going and the ball hits Tim Patrick and it's recovered on fourth down, and you just don't take advantage of whatever small opportunity you had left to have another crazy comeback.
Want to talk about the defense in just a moment here, but let's keep talking about Drew Lock a little bit here. His first half numbers, 7 of 14, just 98 yards, a much different picture in the second half. But this Broncos offense didn't even reach the red zone until less than 5 minutes left in the game. What did you see? What was going wrong out there?
Yeah, I think Drew had a tendency to roll out of the pocket too quickly. Obviously, there was a lot of pressure today. He got hit quite a bit. So that was part of it. Didn't hit some open throws. There were times when it seemed like the Broncos were able to stack 1 or 2 or 3 positive plays together, but were just off on a couple of shots toward the end zone. And ultimately, Phil, that interception that you mentioned earlier toward kind of midway through the fourth quarter, it was just a backbreaker, a bad decision off his back foot that allowed the Falcons to regain a 21-point lead with just about 9 minutes to play. And even though they kind of made some hay there toward the end of the game, he found Jerry Jeudy for a touchdown. He found Tim Patrick. He ran one in. It just wasn't enough. And some of that success, Phil, is because the Falcons were playing soft coverage. They didn't want to get beat by the big play. And if it weren't for, just to be blunt, poor clock management by the Falcons on offense, the Broncos really wouldn't have even had a chance at the end of the game. So Drew Lock's got to go back. He's got to figure out what's going wrong, especially early in games, and try to build on some of this stuff from the fourth quarter. But the Broncos cannot continue to fall behind by this much if they want to make something of this season.
Yeah, and really a couple of fourth quarters here today and then last week, you take those away, and it's really been 3 games in a row now that this Broncos offense has really struggled to move the ball. And you mentioned Drew Lock had pressure all day long. Graham Glasgow, the right guard, not there. DeMar Dotson, the starting right tackle, left this game. And, Eric, that's what I was going to get to next, was that it just seems like injuries have finally caught up with this Broncos team. They want to roll with the punches and not use that as an excuse, but especially on the defensive side of the ball, without A.J. Boye, Bryce Callahan, essentially all of the week 1 starters along the defensive line, this was a tall task for this Broncos team today.
Yeah, and they kind of recovered well in the second half. I don't know if that's just because of the conservative nature of Atlanta's game plan or kind of what the change was there, but I mean, Julio Jones only had 5 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown. I think you probably would have taken that coming into this game. The story really was, other receivers beating you. Another guy had over 100 yards. Hayden Hurst had 7 catches for 62 yards. I mean, that's too much to allow. The run defense, I thought, was actually decent. They held up, I thought, okay without Shelby Harris. Obviously, Mike Purcell on IR, but you just asked too much, I think, of Devontae Harris. Even sent Kevin Tolliver in there at times, and he struggled as well. Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson, they were essentially asked to shoulder the load. It was just too much in the first half. I believe the Falcons scored on their first 4 possessions. Things turned around a little bit in the second half, but it was just ugly there for a little bit.
Yeah, that was a tough, tall order for some of those defensive backs there, going up against Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and even without Calvin Ridley, it was a difficult order for this Broncos defense. Let's go now to Sidney Jones, who's standing by with a player post game.
All right, we're checking in with Jerry Jeudy after the Broncos 34-27 loss to the Falcons. Jerry, what are you guys thinking right now? What did you guys talk about in the locker room after the game today?
Just as a unit, I just feel like we just need to start off faster. The last two games, we started off slow. The second half, we put up points, but we can't be doing that. We gotta play the first half just the way we play the second half and start off fast. That's it, really.
Yeah, I mean, you guys almost came back in the fourth quarter. You guys scored 3 touchdowns. We're only down by 1 with just under 2 minutes left. What was the shift of momentum there? What do you think the difference is from the first half and then the second half?
See, that's it. I feel like just the tempo, just the urge, just trying to score, just trying to make plays. See, that's what we got to just go back and watch film and see what did we do in the first half? What did we do in the first half? What did we do in the second half that we need to apply to the first half to just have us starting off scoring?
Yeah. Now, Jeudy, you played really hard today. You had your first 100-yard game, 7 receptions for 125 yards and a touchdown. How does that feel?
I don't feel nothing if you're losing.
I know. I mean, still a good game for you, so I'm sure you're happy you finally got your first 100-yard game. But is there anything positive you think you can take from this game, maybe from that last quarter when things really started to get going on offense?
I feel like the only positive thing, really, I just feel like as an offense, we never fight. We never give up. We always fight. We always fighting throughout the whole game. And second half, we always just keep pushing. And that's one thing I learned about this offense is like we never gonna give up. So that's a good thing that we learned basically. But like I said, we just got to start off fast in the beginning and just keep playing how we play in the second half, and it's gonna all come together.
Yeah. Now you guys are on the road again next week, against a divisional rival. How do you kind of put this game in the back of your head and focus on the next matchup against the Raiders?
Like as in for today, we just gotta go watch film, focus on little things that we need to work on, and throughout the whole week in practice, we just gotta grind harder and harder each and every week and each and every day. Basically that's it. Focus on the next opponent. We don't want to dwell on this loss right now, but we just gotta focus on what we need to do to get better. Watch film and just focus on the Raiders.
All right. Thanks, Jerry. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sydney. So this Broncos team had a chance to get to 4-4 instead, dropped to 3-5 on the season, and now have to turn things around. Who knows what the practice schedule is going to look like this week, considering the intensive COVID protocols the Broncos team is under right now. But they must turn the page and get ready for the Raiders team.
Yeah, Phil, and the Las Vegas Raiders are going to present another threat. They've been a solid team all year round, particularly on the ground. And we know since the Broncos gave up more than 200 rushing yards a week ago to the Chargers, I'd imagine the Raiders would try to pound at Denver on the ground. They'll have to hold up there. And then historically, Derek Carr has been really good against these Broncos, just really accurate, not missing too many throws. They've got to find a way to win, though, Phil, because you've got this game against the Raiders, then you come back home to play the Dolphins. You can stay in this thing if you can somehow win the next two. But, man, Phil, if they play the way they did today, particularly in the first half, they're going to struggle to beat anybody. And I think Vic Fangio, I think Drew Lock, I think guys on the defensive side of the ball would all kind of admit the same thing for some reason. And whether it's, having missed practices due to COVID protocol or whatever it might be, there's some disconnect between the early performance in these games and what we're seeing late. We knew this was going to be kind of a struggle, that there'd be some growing pains with a young offense, but you've got to see progression here.
And we should note that Albert O left this game grabbing his knee, looked like he was in a lot of pain there. I'll have to find out more about what injuries the Broncos sustained in this game a little bit later this week. But, yeah, they got to get things figured out, and they got to do it in a hurry here, especially, in my opinion, on the offensive side of the ball. So we'll see what the Broncos are able to do this week. But on this Sunday, a 34-27 loss to the Atlanta Falcons on the road. That's going to do it for us. For Sydney Jones and Eric Dalala, I'm Phil Milan.